Hey there, playing a game for the very first time is a magical moment. A moment that you will only ever experience that way once. A second playthrough is never quite as great as the first. But what if it was? Only a few days ago did Half-Life Extended release, a mod aiming to extend Half-Life 1's gameplay in a few different ways, mostly by extending levels, which can range from anything like a small janitor's closet to entirely new puzzles and combat pieces, or by adding new animations for lots of characters and even new attacks if you choose the extended difficulty. This mod basically serves as a way to experience Half-Life 1 like you're playing it for the first time again. Thus far, only 5 chapters have been released, or 6 if you include the hazard course. In this video, I'm gonna show you some of the best enhancements this mod makes and let you know my thoughts. If you instead want to experience this on your own, the mod download is in the description. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Subscribe! Thank you! The extensions actually start in the main menu. A chapter selection screen similar to that of Half-Life 2 was added, which is very nice. Here you can also choose the difficulty. If you want the most updated experience, choose Extended for new enemy attacks. Chapter 0, the hazard course, has gotten huge extensions. First off, let me immediately note all the new personnel you can meet here, which ranges from new scientists and security guard models to completely new workers. Each of these people can be interacted with and have multiple different responses. Not only are voice lines from some of the expansion games used, some characters got whole new voice actors.
Meet me at the lunch break. I'll buy you a Tesla taco.
This is making the world come to life maxed out. As the ModDB page of this mod so nicely put it, this mod adds a new word to run, think, shoot, live, which is explore. If you wanna play this mod, I seriously recommend taking your time with it, especially in the hazard course and everything else pre-Resonance Cascade. These areas were the ones I was looking forward to the most and I was not disappointed. I was blown away actually, to be exact. There are so many new rooms where you can see scientists working, janitors cleaning and construction workers constructing. By the way, unlike the original Half-Life 1, this mod features subtitles, really clean looking ones actually. Getting closer to the test chamber, the observation room was made larger and features this scientist with perhaps the smoothest animation I've ever seen in Gold Source. This dude is just rolling back and forth between the computers and pushing buttons. This is so well made. Also, the two scientists that are canonically Eli and Dr. Kleiner now look like them in a Half-Life 1 style. The test chamber itself was made a lot larger, and a few more steps were added to actually starting the test, which is pretty fun. The Resonance Cascade itself was improved too with some new effects. As you'd expect of course, the destruction of the Black Mesa facility is heavily enhanced as well, and also had some gameplay updates, like there being a bunch more lasers here in the beginning. The crowbar has a new attack to it as well, a right click that actually has knockback. This is a great way to balance out combat on hard difficulty, especially when you have no ammo. Another great addition is some dynamic shadows, mainly and most noticeably with a flashlight. I'm honestly not even sure how this was possibly ported to Gold Source. This chapter once more has so many changed and extended areas that I basically only realized half the time what that area was originally, and honestly those were the best times. The ones where I truly have no idea where I am, only to be surprised by a familiar looking set piece again after a while. One of the new attacks that comes with the extended difficulty can be found with the Vortigons. They do an attack similar to Hound Eyes but with no charging time. This is impossible to beat with melee weapons basically. As people playing this on the extended difficulty are probably experienced with Half-Life 1 combat anyways, this is fine in my opinion. Which is also the same logic I use for some of the extensions made in the levels. In certain areas, you can go down long paths that aren't the correct way and don't feature any loot or anything at the end. In regular level design, I'd probably call this a tangent, a waste of time that leads nowhere, at least seemingly. But given that anyone playing this mod has played Half-Life 1 already anyways, and of course the name of the mod, that is exactly what I want in this case. And honestly, I'd love to have a bit more of it in other games as well. Exploration in games that aren't open world anyways is a dying art form, and places like these remind me of playing old PS2 games as a child. Back in the day where I didn't even know you could save a game, leading me to replay the first mission of a SpongeBob game over and over again and explore every single corner of the level. Areas like these where you can just find a few more details in the design and with it get a bit more of an idea of the Black Mesa research facility is so awesome. If I was a child, I'd 1000% prefer this over the original, spending hours just looking at every single corner and NPC, both in and out of bounds. On top of that, all maps have a ton of secrets hidden in them. I most certainly didn't find all of them myself. Some of them are said to be very hard to find. Again, more reason to replay it. There is one I did find though.
Mitchell, can you hear me?
Mitchell! Hot on the Freeman! Mitchell reference, Hot on the Freeman, yo! It's canon! Keeps us canon! Absolute cinema. To give some direct examples of great additions, here's a room I thought was extended in a great way. You probably remember this room. In the original Half-Life, you just jump along and then continue your way forward. In this case, they've added a complete new area with new platforming and puzzle elements, including climbing on ropes from opposing force, and then coming back around to enable the cargo cranes. Jump and run on these newly arrived crates, and then you can continue. A whole new area with a new puzzle that puts a new spin on this infamous room. It's so insanely good. On top of all this, there are a bunch of custom soundtracks added to this game, including at least one that I overheard that was using elements of Half-Life Alyx's soundtrack even, a game that includes some of my favorite soundtracks of the franchise. Another smart addition is the scientist. In the original game, you'd hear security guards mentioning that people are coming in to save us. We obviously know how that turned out, but besides that, in this case there isn't much explanation as to how they know. In Half-Life Extended, it gets explained to us by this scientist, who is seen moving out of this newly added room that features a radio, explaining how he heard the news that troops are moving in. A simple way of environmental storytelling. Also, you guys know how much I love small little animations. Interactions that are totally unneeded but add so much once they're there. Well, in this case, we've got some insane interactions. The main example being this little crate. Now, it might not look like much, but breaking this crate will cause this trolley to realistically roll and fall down. Admittedly, it's bugged, but I'm sure that will be ironed out soon. Seeing a realistic physics interaction like this in Gold Source is unbelievably cool. In some of the gameplay, you may have noticed me using the pipe wrench and knife, which in and of itself is cool already. They were ported over from opposing force and implemented into the campaign. But there's also another cool feature. A toggleable setting has been added that adds a limit to each weapon slot, meaning you'd have to decide for one weapon per slot. I personally played without it, but having the option is great. Also, speaking of toggleable options, copyright, this song is copyright, I can't play it anymore because it's copyright, it's copyright, it's copyright, this song is copyright, I can't play it anymore because it's copyright, I gotta sing over this song because it's copyrighted. Another great example of improving an area is this section of Half-Life 1, where you simply either shoot the turret or turn it off. In Half-Life Extended, however, you meet these two fully voiced characters who warn you about the turrets and ask you to please shut them off, even giving you instructions as to how. And as you can see, this room was improved a lot to allow for more sneaking around. Once you're done, the guards will thank you for helping them. The amount of world building this mod adds to basically every single area, adding whole new sections to the Black Mesa facility like this library, adding this room from the Half-Life box art, adding military trucks before you first encounter HCCU. All this makes the experience so much more enticing and richer. At one point you'll see the simulated outside light break in this library section. This scene alone is an art piece already. Getting back to the HCCU though, the HCCU zombies from opposing force were added, and with them a great new attack. They go full zombie and pull a grenade out of their pocket and charge at you, using brand new animations. This fits in so perfectly and adds a whole new layer to the gameplay.
As HCCU, right?
Also, while I show you some more great new areas in the background, there is another exciting thing about this mod, which is that it opens up the possibility for more modding. Half-Life Extended is meant to also act as a base for new mods, which will allow mods to use all the newly added features like the new enemy attacks and ported weapons. By entering Imports 101 in console, you will find that there are a ton of not only ported but also entirely new weapons. It may be that you can find even more weapons in the vanilla gameplay too and that I just missed it. An updated base like this, providing more possibilities for modders to use, also released for Half-Life 2 a few years ago, called MapBase. MapBase revolutionized Half-Life 2 modding, and is part of the reason we have mods like Entropy 02 today. So something like this releasing for Half-Life 1 has a high potential of revolutionizing Half-Life 1 modding. The following I seriously recommend you to experience on your own. If you don't want this element spoiled, you can skip to the timestamp on screen for my conclusion about this mod. So, there's one cut enemy that was brought back in perhaps the coolest way possible. Not only is it teased in certain moments beforehand, it eventually turns out to be a boss fight against a Panther Eye. It doesn't last for too long, but it uses this area that honestly makes for the perfect natural arena. After this we start meeting this enemy in more areas. Adding cut enemies was not something I expected, but the fact it's been done is incredible. In conclusion, this mod is the perfect solution for anyone that wants to replay Half-Life 1 and have it feel like it's the first time. The artistry that went into creating all these new sections and having them fit perfectly into the Half-Life 1 aesthetic is masterful work, and seamlessly makes for an extended version of Half-Life 1. There are so many moments here that made me feel like a kid again, just exploring all these areas and finding those tiny details. This mod oozes with passion, seriously, and the fact that they're also implementing features to ensure an easier time for modders in the future makes it even better. So I highly recommend you play it, and to also support them on Patreon. They plan on releasing this mod on Steam someday, for which they need funding. They mentioned that this would also mean that Steam achievements would be added, which have never existed in regular Half-Life 1. Perhaps there's also possibilities for a workshop, who knows. So go over there and support them if you can. If you want to see someone playing it instead of playing it yourself, you can watch the VODs of me playing it on my channel in the live tab, which by the way, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications to never miss a live stream. I can't wait to see more of this mod, and perhaps one day, somebody will create Blue Shift and Opposing Force Extended. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, let us enjoy this mod first. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and to join the Discord, and otherwise, thank you for watching. Let me do the funny.
I don't suppose you'd reconsider?
Nope.